Gregory Abbott is one of the people of all time. He's probably on the like worse side of the spectrum, but I don't want to make presumptions. I don't want to get political on here. That'd be gross. But anyways, on the real, Greg Abbott has made it to where workers who work hard physical labor can't even get a break to drink some water, or it's not required for them to. They still can, but it's kind of up to the kindness of their corporate overlords who want to work them to death for like a tenth of a penny, which they're probably not going to do that. Let's be real. If an evil corporation were to be like, let me think, would I rather have a very disposable worker that I can replace for probably cheaper, or would I rather have like an extra dollar? Me personally, I know what they're picking. It's the extra dollar. It's definitely the extra dollar. Why would an evil corporation whose only objective is to make money for itself, for the owner, not even necessarily for itself, but for the owner and the high ups, why would they care about a worker who is ultimately, in reality, sadly, disposable, who can be replaced pretty easily with just a simple look on a job market, and, in all honesty, could probably be replaced for a cheaper person, for an illegal immigrant, or somebody like that, somebody without any sort of tenure, somebody who is looking for an entry-level job. Why would a corporation cost themselves money when they can just have you just flop dead and make themselves a couple extra bucks? But for those of y'all not willing to listen to that sort of very reasonable argument, let me provide a story. And a lot of people who don't agree with me will say, but hey, that's an anecdote. Yes, it is. However, I can, with 100% certainty, say that my anecdote is reflective of the overall perception of this. Okay, so I used to work taking out trash. In all honesty, I used to work at nighttime, so it wasn't as bad, but it was still pretty damn bad. For those of you who don't know where I'm from, I am from southeast of Houston. And for those of y'all who don't know what it's like southeast of Houston, one, it's damn hot, and two, it's damn humid. Those two things, ooh, they'll kill you. And that is completely true, as Texas is the leader in state work deaths due to heat. Texas is the leader in that. But anyways, statistics aside that prove me right. I used to work nights doing trash. And let me tell you, I looked forward every single hour or so, even sometimes longer than that, every single, section of work. Because I used to work in apartments and I would take out their trash. So in between a section of an apartment, I would give myself a water break. And this water break was mandated by the company that I worked for. It was part of these safety guidelines. You must take a water break at some time. And I decided to give myself multiple because I care about my health. But, my bosses were okay with it because they had to be. And the deadlines that we had were pretty strict, but not too strict, so I had some time. But anyways, tangent aside, I decided to give myself a water break after every section. And I would spend maybe 5 minutes of every section. So let's say I'm doing 40 minutes for one section and there's 3 sections. I would give myself 15 minutes of just relax, drink some water, rehydrate, maybe eat something like I brought a granola bar with me, something like that. Maybe, eat a granola bar, something like that. And let me tell you, I needed that. And I worked nights, let's keep in mind. I needed it. It was the thing that kept me somewhat healthy. Doing this work, I lost a ton of weight, at an unhealthy rate. The weight loss was good for me, I'm not gonna lie, because I am am still, to a lesser extent, somewhat overweight, but the weight loss was good for me. However, it was at an unhealthy rate, which, you know, isn't good for you. But this weight loss was somewhat mitigated by my water break time, because I would drink the fuck out of some water. I would come in with 2 liters. I would leave with 0 most days, or sometimes I even brought a gallon with me on hotter days, but I would leave with no water or close to none on almost every single shift that I did. And keep in mind, this is 5 days a week, every night, every weeknight. And during this, I really do not think I would have lived. Or, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit dramatic, but I don't think I would have been okay without water. There were so many nights, and this is nighttime. There were so many nights where I left, I was dizzy, I was, still somehow dehydrated. I was very dizzy, I could barely stand. My vision was kind of getting blurry, stuff like that. I wouldn't be able to eat. I had to force feed myself whenever I got home because I was that exhausted. Just stuff like that. It was really unhealthy. And without water, without those mandatory water breaks that I took, I don't know if I would have, not had a heat stroke. I would have almost definitely had a heat stroke, or almost definitely collapsed of some kind. Some days, even with my water, I had to ask for help from my coworkers. I had to call up my boss and say, hey, can I get somebody to help me on this site? And sometimes they would send somebody over, sometimes they wouldn't. That's just how it is. It was a smaller company that was kind of few and far between whenever I joined. But sometimes they would send somebody to me to help, sometimes they wouldn't. That was just how it is. And I very much valued these people coming to help, because on these days where I had somebody to help, I either was very exhausted or I had hurt myself some kind of way. Like one day I was walking upstairs, I hurt my foot, something in my ankle. It's a reoccurring injury I've had all my life. Somewhat related, somewhat unrelated. You know how it is. Just reoccurring injuries that flare up every now and then. And if I didn't have my breaks, and if I didn't have people to help me every now and then, who fucking knows what would have happened? I certainly don't. And I feel great empathy for these workers. I don't know exactly what they're going through, but I feel great empathy for these workers who every day have to go into this Texas heat, which, by the way, right now, let me check the temperature. So today's high was 94. Tomorrow's high is also 94. But Monday, their high is 100. 100 degrees. So let's say on average about 96 degree heat during the summer, during the peak of the summer. They had to go out in that every single day. The heat of the day, and they have to wear all this protective gear. They have to wear long sleeve shirts, they have to wear helmets, they have to wear glasses, they have to wear jeans, big jeans too, not like normal jeans, big ass jeans, and they have to wear boots. They have to go out in all of this in this 100 degree heat, and you expect them to not have a water break. Are you insane? And some of you might say, Tay, calm down. OSHA definitely has some regulations against this. And you know what? You'd be wrong. They do not have anything regarding heat. However, there is something about that in progress. However, these types of regulations take years to hammer out the specifics of, and it just doesn't exist at this very moment. So it is a problem that is somewhat being fixed, and ideally it wouldn't be up to the state. It would be on a national level, which we're working on, but who knows about the future, if this regulation is canned, if it's enshrined, if it's a mandatory state thing, who knows. But in this moment, it is not. and I feel deep empathy for these workers that have to sweat out the entire day, that have to go to work and do hard physical labor all day, and they don't even get a 15-minute break to drink some water, to drink fucking anything, really. They don't get a 15-minute break to, if they're exhausted, drink a bottle of water and maybe eat a granola bar. They don't get that. It's not required anymore. And I'm sure a lot of working people, a lot of firms will institute something that requires this. However, it will not be on the same level. They'll be saying, hey, every 3 hours you get a 5-minute break to drink a water, which is just unreasonable, you know? When we lead the country, we are 1 out of 50 for heat-related deaths. We are about to be even higher. We are about to be worse. Texas is getting worse for the worker. And Texas is already pretty shit for the worker. We're a right-to-work state, which is basically, for those of you who don't know, means you don't have to be a part of a union to work. We are a right-to-work state, which really fucks us over. And then we have these regulations being peeled back further and further, fucking us over harder and harder and harder and harder as we have to work harder and harder and harder and harder. We have to produce more capital for our owners, for the owners of our businesses that we work for. We have to produce more capital than ever before. We are worked harder than ever before as workers, not as, indentured servants or slaves or things of that matter, but as civil, ideally equally treated workers. We are treated worse than ever. We are expected to produce more than ever. We are expected to work more and more and more, to where we are expected to work at our homes. We're expected to work overtime past our agreed on, ideally, but it's not always, past our agreed on hours, past our, limits even. And I don't want to do a slippery slope fallacy, but I do not believe that this is the end of large businesses and our Republican government, almost exclusively Republican government, fucking us over. I think it will get worse. I think this is the middle, even not even the beginning, but the middle of a lot of policies that are going to fuck us over substantially. And I think, we should try and stop it. And how do we stop this, you may ask? Well, for my Texan viewers, I know it is a futile effort. I know that we get fucked over harder and harder days to come, but you have to vote, and you have to vote blue. It is like the equivalent of throwing away a side of fries at a McDonald's. That is the equivalent of doing that. It is the equivalent of voting blue in Texas, is the equivalent of that. But you gotta do it. You gotta vote blue. Because while the Republicans are repealing our rights as workers and as people, the Democrats, who are still bad, are a good deal better. They will not repeal your right to live. They will not repeal your rights to exist. They will not repeal your right to be comfortable in the place in which you work. And that is why you must vote for them. But anyways, I hope you all guys enjoyed this video. I'm trying something a little new here. It's a bit more ranty. It's a bit more, passionate, you may have seen. Maybe. But anyways, I'm sorry for missing yesterday's upload. Hopefully this makes up for it. But yeah, 15 minutes of me ranting. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Alright, I'll see y'all guys next time. Bye.
Learning how to hold on. Ball-headed nigga out here looking like Frozen. I admit that I was caught in my emotions. Life comes in layers, be prepared for the ozone. Can you put me back where you found me? Maybe I was better off drowning. Better off never stepping foot on Rhode Island. There is no going back to small town things, it's too late.